Hey, are you ready to get back to some in-person clinics? We're excited to bring you the Big Time Strength and Football Clinic, Saturday, March 27th in Mount Vernon, Iowa. This will be presented by One Mission, Powerlift, Team Builder, and Eastern Iowa FCA. We'll have 21 premier college and high school presenters, 10 strength coaches, 11 football coaches, over 8 hours of presentations, with 3 rooms where you get a choice between 3 different speakers. We'll provide a clinic t-shirt as well as breakfast and lunch. This is going to be one of the best clinics in all of Iowa. Registration begins at 7:30. Presentations begin at 8 a.m. Cost will be $50 per individual or $100 for your entire staff. To guarantee a t-shirt, please register by March 14th. Walk-ups are welcome, but may not receive a t-shirt. We're excited to be back and meeting you in person again. Let's take a little bit of time to give some love to our sponsors. You know we have Team Builder. Thank you, Team Builder, for sponsoring today's episode. Team Builder is the leading software for high schools and colleges, and they provide coaches the ability to write programs online, generate over 13 reports, and even train athletes remotely for side income. We've had a lot of great stuff come out of Team Builder. If you have not yet, check out their podcast. Hewitt always has some amazing tidbits, and it's just getting more and more fun to listen to each week. So right now, if you sign up with the code BIGTIME, you'll receive a free APRE programming template, which works automatically within Team Builder. No more spreadsheets, no more workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day. Automate your program without outsourcing your programming with Team Builder. Next up, we have Powerlift. Powerlift is the leading manufacturer and distributor of heavy-duty strength training equipment for collegiate and high school athletic performance centers around the world. Powerlift brings over 20 years of experience to the strength and conditioning world, with all products manufactured in their state-of-the-art facility in Jefferson, Iowa. Powerlift is proud to support all coaches making it big time where they are at. For more information, make sure to reach out to Mike Richardson, and he'll make sure to take care of you. Hello, and welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast. You're going to love our guest this week. I'm excited to bring on Coach Alesha Dunlap. She's from Jefferson County, which is a Somerset Charter school located in Monticello, Florida. She's a physical education teacher and strength and conditioning coach with tremendous amount of experience, and I will say adaptability. You're going to hear in our conversation how she has adapted to a changing role of her position related to COVID-19 and the amazing things that she's doing for her students. She is also certified in USA weightlifting. She's a Florida National High School Strength and Conditioning Association board member. She is certified as a youth fitness specialist and also in the National Association of Speed and Explosion. She also owns her own business, which she goes in and talks about, called Finished Sports Academy for Youth Fitness and Performance. And a little bit of a fun fact, she has also transitioned into financial services during the pandemic and started helping out her family. So Alesha's quote in life is, anything in life worth having is worth fighting for, and you are going to see the amazing things she's doing to fight for her students. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome, Coach Dunlap. Thank you for joining me.
Oh,
I'm excited. I am excited for this because, well, I should say, listeners, if you had been listening to the original version of this, it would have been me saying that this is the first time Coach Dunlap and I have ever met. However, to be totally transparent, this is our second time through doing this interview about a month apart. We shot the last interview and it went wonderful. I mean, just amazing stuff and amazing content. And then I went to look at it and I only heard my voice. So it felt like the all-nighter that got like deleted from your computer. And we were missing the best part of the interview, which was Alesha. And so I'm like, we got to do it again. But we took a little bit of time, so we didn't really remember what's going on. And you are hearing part 2 of this interview, or take 2 of this interview. So, but just even that one time of being with you and talking, and I think we could talk for a long time. So it's just.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yes, it's been great. Well, Coach, you are out of Florida, and I am up here in the frozen tundra of Minnesota. And I reached out to you because I have just seen you lighting up a storm. Other coaches calling you out for the amazing things you do. Amazing posts on social media, just highlighting your kids and highlighting what you are doing. I said, I need to get her. And so originally, before we had met and before I had talked to you, I'm like, I want to know a little bit about Alesha. So I reached out to some strength and conditioning coaches. So I got some quotes here for you. It's always good to hear. Coach Micah Kurtz, also out of Florida, he describes you as lifelong learner, striving to give your athletes the best coaching and programming, and that your dedication shows with the buy-in you get from your athletes. So great stuff.
Awesome.
Great stuff from Coach Kurtz.
Micah.
One of my good friends, Coach RJ Ryan Johnson out of Wayzata High School, he was excited to talk about you and says you are full of life, that you bring passion and zest into everything that you do, and he does not think it's possible for you to have an off day. So,
oh wow, that's cool.
And from those quotes and talking to you the first time through, it's just amazing. You're just so transparent and so passionate, and I know that our listeners are going to learn a lot today. So you ready to go a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. Let's go.
Let's do it. So talk to me about Jefferson County.
Jefferson County sits next to the capital of Florida, which is Tallahassee. It's a rural community, and the school that I'm at teaching at, Jefferson Somerset, it's 100% free reduced lunch. So all my kids pretty much, no one's really bringing their own lunch like that unless their parents make it. But that's kind of where we're at. We are a charter school, K-12. We were taken over by Somerset due to the grades previously. Well, it's like 2016. Somerset took over. So there's been some transitioning there in that aspect because of just how it's been ran. I don't know if people really know much about the history of Jefferson County, but it's the Old South. So that's still relevant. It's there. It doesn't people don't really talk about it, but I talk about it because it needs to be said, because it affects what I do at my job too as well. Trying to build those relationships, change the mindset of the kids, that plays into a lot of the community dynamics.
Okay.
But I love Somerset. They've come in and really done a good job in transforming the culture of the school by adding things, a weight room, upgrading some of the facilities. So they've done their part as far as trying to get the kids to buy in and to show them that they're loved and all that stuff. It's more of a getting everyone on board, community, parents, our stakeholders, teachers, finding quality teachers and stuff like that. But I really enjoy what Somerset has done since they've come in.
Okay. And how did you get in your role as strength and conditioning coach? How did that come about?
It's funny you ask. I created it.
Okay.
Literally, I saw my first year at Somerset, I was teaching phys ed. That's what they hired me as, phys ed teacher, and that's what I love doing. I love teaching phys ed, physical education. That's my background. I'm passionate about it. So I saw a need when I was there to do something about it because I saw athletes lifting and training, and it just didn't make sense, squatting with bad form and lifting all kinds of loads. I'm like, this doesn't make sense while they're doing it. So I wanted to do something about it. So my first year, they actually gave me a weight training class. I didn't know what I was doing because I thought like most of those coaches.
Yeah.
Because I worked at FAMU for some time, Florida A&M University, and I worked with the football team, softball team, and the volleyball team. And, everyone had their own program in there. I worked primarily with volleyball and football, but everyone worked with the football team. Or I worked with softball and volleyball primarily, but everyone worked with football. So I understood that the training wasn't the same. But I also understood coming back to my first year that I couldn't train those athletes like I was training my college kids. But I was, because I didn't know any better. I didn't have a mentor. So I was kind of scared because I didn't understand the multi-sport athlete. I didn't know how to train them. So I think that first year I gave my class away, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I wasn't comfortable teaching something that I wasn't really sure about. Even though I knew what to do, I didn't know what to do because it's not, high school and college are not the same. And a lot of times as coaches, we assume that we can train them the same, but you can't. They're dealing with more stress and all that different stuff. So my second year, they gave me weight training again. And that's when I began to pursue learning. And that's the year they sent me to the Vertimax training. And that's where my eyes just kind of blew wide open. Mike Kirk was speaking and he just blew me wide. I'm just like, I was amazed and I wanted to join Wide Array. I signed up for the organization. And NHSSCA, I signed up. I believe the mission. I believe what they were doing. And from there, since that time, I've been pursuing learning and trying to help my athletes as well.
Amazing. I'm proud of you for being able to recognize that, because that takes a long time, especially for us as athletes sometimes, to be able to see that transition, like, whoa, this is not what I did, or I should not be doing what I did, and something that kind of stands out to me that was the big transition to coaching was when I stopped saying what worked for me was, and then telling my kids stuff related to what I had been doing. And that was kind of that switch, and now it's where you can individualize it to the kids, like, oh, what we should be doing is this, and it has nothing to do with our former training.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to recognize that. And I love it that you have your NHSSCA plaque right in your house, right next to you. I can see it back there. Proud of you for posting that. Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Well, one of my favorite pictures that I've seen of you that made me a little bit have some envy is you on the sidelines with your football team. And as it's so awesome that we can be recognized as assistant coaches. And that's what I saw just from that picture. I'm like, oh, that makes me jealous, But what are some ways that you have built, like, the buy-in, the team camaraderie that gets you in developing leaders that's where they see you now, their assistant coach right there with them during the game, not just their strength and conditioning coach in the weight room? What are some tactics that you use for that?
That took time. Like I said, the first year there wasn't any buy-in. The second year it was a trickle. I was able to get the basketball coach on. So that was helpful for me in trying to get buy-in. But I honestly had to go ask each coach if I can be their assistant in order to be their strength and conditioning coach, because there's no position created for what I'm trying to do, which is be the strength and conditioning coach. So I guess you could say I took the initiative and went to each coach, because at the time we had, right now we have a different AD, but at the time, Terry Walker was the AD. He said, go for it. So I went for it because it wasn't a position yet. So I had to, that's me figuring out how to get the job done. So I was willing to sacrifice my time in order to get that program started and kind of start building the culture, the mission, and that whole vision for the strength and conditioning program there. It took time. And as far as building culture, now I would say I have a good solid group of kids that come consistently and I pour into them. Thank God they're allowing me to. So, and I'm very honored to even pour into them, because I think a lot of times dealing with kids, they're so, they're sponges, so they soak up stuff, and we have to be careful what we're telling them. So I'm very mindful of, the culture and my group of students, and I try to be as transparent as I can, but not too transparent, and make sure, they consult their parents, because at the end of the day, I'm still just their coach. So building culture took some time. I added something recently called Drip Friday. So that kind of helps with culture, because the kids like dressing nice. So that's something that they like. I implemented it, but I noticed that that's something that they like doing. So I said, guys, would you like to do, because right now it's mostly all guys, and I just recently started getting girls. So that's kind of cool. The guys buy in quicker than the girls. So but that's one way I've been able to kind of build culture with those guys, and just pouring into them consistently.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some stuff with the Drip Friday, and honestly, I had to look it up. I didn't know it in the north here in my little pocket. I was like, what is that? So yeah, I looked it up, and I've seen some great pictures of guys standing there proud, all dressed up. So
that's the culture. So it works. They buy in, and it works for them, and they like it. So
love it. Well, assistant coach position for each season, I can see how that would be a blessing and a little bit of a burden. I mean, are coaches in general, you're in charge of strength and conditioning, or are you still working with each sport a little bit related to their sport? Thinking practice.
So this year, or 2020 June, up until I guess December is when the football season ended. I was brought in to work with football. The former athletic director put in a good word, so the current football coach hired me on. But he also put me as a volunteer athletic trainer. So, and I'm like, what? That's not. I'm like, that's not what I do. Like, that's something totally different, and liability and stuff like that. But I was there filling in for a woman who couldn't do it anymore. And I was actually nervous the entire time I did it, because I knew that if I did something, I could, potentially be in trouble for it. But I was in the position as a volunteer, and I let everyone know I'm volunteering, but I was still the strength and conditioning coach. And from that, I transitioned into basketball as the assistant coach, still working with football and working with basketball. Now, if as the assistant coach, I had to take on other duties as a regular assistant coach. So I did scorebooks, I did the clock. Wherever coach needed me, I became what she needed, because, sometimes you can have an assistant, but they don't want to be the assistant coach. They want to be the coach sometimes. But whatever coach needed, I made sure that I was there to kind of fill that void. If she wanted me to mop, I'll mop. Whatever she needed to make sure the guys had what they needed, I just kind of helped in that way. And then now I'm transitioning into track, and it's kind of the same way. I'm the assistant coach and I'm the strength coach, but if they need me to do duties as the assistant, I do the duties, rosters, taking I always take attendance, but and then baseball, I'm probably going to be doing their books, because right now their focus is not on strength and conditioning, it's on skill development. If it rains, that's when I'll see them. But I train every morning with the group of athletes that always come every morning. So I always have my mornings, and those same athletes always come. But after school, it's a little different. So it really just depends on what the coach wants for the day. So that's when I switch from a strength and conditioning coach in the morning, and then after school, I'm their assistant, if that makes sense.
I get that part. Wow, that's a lot on your plate. A lot on your plate right now. And I love that you're in the process of that, because strength and conditioning coaching looks different in so many ways. And, we need to get it out there that sometimes this is what it takes, and how can we evolve this over time. And I can see you in that process. And
I think that goes into the buy-in, because I presented a presentation to the coaches in our former athletic director about why we need a strength and conditioning coach. Everyone bought in,
Yeah.
But the one person that I needed the most to buy in was the principal, but I could never get him in the meeting. So I just kind of put full steam ahead and just started doing what needed to be done in spite of the position not being there yet. So I wasn't discouraged or anything, but it's some days it's like, man, this is a lot. So it was some of those days where I'm like, do I really want to do it? But it's kind of like Gary, I guess when you get mad at what's going on around you, it's like it became worth it in the end. All the work you put in to help those kids, it's worth it. Even if it's a sacrifice with maybe a little bit of family time, just a little bit, and maybe doing stuff that I don't normally do, like mop floors, doing the scoreboard, stuff that I didn't know how to do, but I learned. Just being made available to help coaches, and they see that, okay, she wants to help. Yes, I do. I want to help you, but I also want to help these kids too, because I see there's a need for it. And it's a new position still, so I'm still in the process of developing everything for it.
Amazing. In the future, I know that those experiences are going to make where you're just going to be a better coach and a better leader for it, because you've been in that position. And I can just see it. It's just so helpful. So wonderful. I've seen some great articles from you a wonderful article, and you talked about Jefferson County, and just as far as maybe not having much of a budget. So what are some things that you're using technology-wise? Your article was great. It was, different technology tools for your classes on a budget. But what types of tools and technology apps are you using? Any of that in your strength and conditioning program?
Well, pandemic, I was using Plickr. I was using Kahoot. I was using Google Docs a lot.
Okay.
And toward like maybe a couple months before the pandemic, I bought into Team Builder. I was trying to learn more about it, but I did buy into Team Builder, and I use something called ZipGrade, because those are the things that I use as the phys ed. I'm a physical education teacher. So those are some of the tools that I use to assist with my students, because I even transitioned my physical education into more fitness-based. We started focusing on movement, quality movement, different movements. So like they'll skip, they'll do cartwheels, they'll roll, they'll crawl. They did stuff that they normally was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I was into that realm, and I still taught the sports stuff that they needed to learn, the skill stuff. But those are some of the apps. But post well, we still kind of in the pandemic, but right now I'm really using Team Builder a lot, and I really, really love Team Builder. It's been a very big help with collecting the data and trying to analyze it real quick on the fly, because when you get the athlete in that day, you want to know right away what's going on with them. But sometimes as coaches, and you just don't have time. I have like maybe 30 minutes with them, if that, sometimes, because it really depends on how soon they get off the bus into the weight room. They have to change, then they like to socialize.
Yes.
So 30 minutes maybe, and some of them may get 40 depending if they come early, but it's not all the time. And some of them probably get 20 minutes because they come in very late from the bus. So all those different variables I have to take in consideration, and I still want to know, okay, what's going on with the kid. But Team Builder has been a huge plus for us.
Excellent. It's a game changer. I think. I mean, and I was actually just on a meeting this morning with a coach. We check in with each other about once a week, just little questions within Team Builder, and I kind of want to go with that. What do you find yourself? So you're year one with it, is that correct?
This would be my second year with it.
Okay, so second year. Yeah, what do you find yourself using the most? That's been the most efficient for you? For me, it's been tags, like in being able to put my kids' lifts into, movement groups, a vertical pull, and going from there. What do you find yourself using the most?
Man, that's a good one. I actually just recently found out about tags, because I bought Team Builder, but the pandemic happened, so I didn't use it until, I guess I would say around August, September, when we're coming back into 2020, and I still was kind of unfamiliar with a lot of the different tools.
Yes.
I would say for me is their weight. I track their weight because I notice it's hard for our guys to gain weight.
Okay.
Some guys need to gain weight, but they don't gain weight. So I'm trying to figure out how to probably purchase something to I heard of the critical reload, and then there's another strength coach who recommended another different type of whey, all natural. So I'm trying to see which one will work with our guys to keep mass on them, because a lot of them don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you make them eat, they probably won't eat the breakfast. So I have to make sure that I watch them. So now I pick them up from the bus, make sure they get breakfast, and then that's kind of how I manage. At least I know they had one meal that day. After that, I don't know if they are going to eat lunch or if they're going to go home and eat. So that's kind of out of my control. So I try to control what I can control to help them.
Okay. All right. Yes, it's definitely user friendly. I haven't used the weight feature. I should make sure I kind of look into that too, because that's a big conversation piece we've been having. I think the pandemic's made it where it's just more prevalent, but just talking about weight and, how do we keep weight on, or are we doing too many reps? I mean, it just goes into so many different conversations. So
yeah, you're right about that one.
wonderful. So that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk with you about. We've talked about the pandemic, but you have been consistently building over the years and building this program. And how did it get affected with the pandemic? Did you get shut down? Did you have to kind of start over? How did it impact you?
So when we got shut down, we were actually on spring break, and we went straight online, and it didn't really work for what I was doing, because I was teaching 6-8, and then I had the high school kids. I had a couple who would engage, but it was not that many that would engage. It's just being at school made a difference for our kids. You're able to hold them accountable, and that was the thing about being we call it RLI, remote learning instruction. Most of our kids were just not able to be responsible for the participation, and then with all the changes of they probably won't count, you had all of this stuff going on. So the kids were like, well, why even do school anymore? And then the depression and all that stuff starts to kick in with kids being in a community like that sometimes. So I didn't really have a lot of engagement from my kids. So my team builder, like I said, I use it sparingly during that time. It wasn't a lot that I really did much. It was volunteer. If they wanted to do it, they could. I did do grading assignments, but we didn't penalize them because, we're in a pandemic. So,
yes.
But coming into June, we started back with football. So that was helpful. I got to see the kids again and engage with them. So that was helpful for us. And then December came, and the pandemic has been tough for our kids. Especially, oh man, you're gonna make me cry, Coach. I don't know if that was a plan, but during our winter break, one of our students took his life. He committed suicide.
Yeah.
That touched me a lot in a way. I don't know what it did for everyone else, but for me, it did something. It did something inside of me, and I got mad and angry. Like Garrett was explaining about his daughter, it made me angry because we came back in January, and it didn't seem like anything changed with teachers. When you have kids and you love, they're not our kids, but they're with us. And I believe as educators, we're supposed to at least leave an imprint on their hearts or something. Say hi, hello. Yeah, you may not vibe well with this student, but say hi to him. And so I made it my point this year to try to get to know each and every student, even if they were different than me, because I talked about perspective and view a lot this past January coming into this month, because we all sometimes look at things one way, and it may not be we don't understand each other. There's like this difference of opinion, and many times it causes friction. But when he took his life, that opened up my eyes in education. Like, what are we doing as teachers? We're so focused on lesson planning, maybe even lifting, running sprints, but do we take time to say hi, how you doing, what's going on, and really, really sincerely mean it, really want to know what's going on with people. A lot of times this year, teachers came to me and wanted me to deal with students, but I was actually upset. Why can't you deal with the student too? We're both teaching the same kids, but you feel like you need me to help you with the student. The reason why I can is because I'm willing to come from where I am and relate to him, even though it may not even make any sense. I was willing to have those conversations with him to try to relate to him, find something he likes. Like, I don't listen to rock and roll, but one student does. So I took the time to find teachers who, okay, what do you know about this kid? And I saw him, and like one kid, he loves the rock and roll. So one teacher told me, and I said something to him, and his face like lit up. I don't normally talk to the kid, but he noticed that I noticed him. And so we have different kids in our class that come from different backgrounds and different situations. They're not the same at all. And sometimes we treat them all the same because we're the adult. You're supposed to listen to us and obey us. But why do I have to listen to you? That's kind of, so when that kid died, it changed my view and perspective of how I should really begin to have a heart for kids, even though they're not mine. It's tough because every kid is different and they're dealing with something that adults deal with. So it's really been tough with the pandemic because I know it hits everybody differently. Some people might act as if it doesn't bother them, but some people are dying inside, but we don't know because they don't want to share it with us. And that's kind of how kids are. They don't feel comfortable sharing, but there are kids suffering silently is what I call it. And we don't know that they're suffering silently. And that's what Michael, he was suffering silently. His parents didn't love him. So, and no one noticed that something was going, or he shared it with a certain teacher, but it wasn't enough to catch it in time. So that hurt, man. That was the first for me in all the years I've been teaching that I had a student commit suicide. So that really did something differently inside of me.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I mean, I can't imagine that happening. You know, I've been in the situation of that with my students where that has happened, but we were able to be with our other students the next day. You know, we were able to love up on them the next day and check in with them. And I can't imagine when there's time goes by where, like you said, it was just like it didn't happen because you had been apart from them. And one of the biggest things, there's so many things with this pandemic that we can't control, but those connections, I'm glad that's amazing that you focus on them because we can control that. Right. And
yeah,
I like that you kind of called that teacher out a little bit because we need more than just you to champion for our kids. We need from every teacher they go to, they feel like they have someone that can be honest with them. So.
I think what it is teachers don't want to be vulnerable to a student. Like they want to be the teacher. They want to be in charge. No, I want my kids to be in charge some days. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me. If you want to sit and joke, let's sit and joke. Let's, just not always be the teacher, but be someone that, yes, you're still in authority. I respect you, but I also can relate to you just a little bit. And I also realize that you actually care about me enough to even try to take the time to relate to me, even though we're like two separate backgrounds. You live in this rich neighborhood and I live over here in the streets. I'm a hood kid, but you took I'm just giving an example. Yeah. But you took the time to at least try to relate to me.
Yes. Amazing. I think of that with my like anime crowd, like, and gamers, something I would have zero interest in, but it's amazing when you ask about them or ask them to explain some anime characters and they have you have them for good and you don't know anything about that.
Right. Yeah. I did that with a kid who liked Dragon Ball Z, but I used to watch Dragon Ball Z when I was younger, but obviously I don't do it now. But just to talk about Dragon Ball Z with him, it's like it's like another kid. He's just excited. So when you can relate to them on levels that they understand, it helps building the relationship. Like I have some kids who listen to music that I would dare not let my kid listen to, but I took the time and I went to listen to some of the music that they wrote and I gave them feedback. And they looking like, oh, you listen to my music? I said, yeah, I listen to your music. You know, I listened to it, but it wasn't something that I'm going to endorse. But I took the time to let him know that I think if you wanted to, I suggested you could change this. Maybe that'll help, you know, this particular. So I'm trying. Does it take time? Yes, it takes time.
Yeah. Wow. So much. I can see the passion. I love hearing your passion and just seeing it come out. So we're, you know, like you said, we're still in the pandemic, but we're moving ahead. What are you excited about just within what you got going on in either the year to come or just improving as we go? What are you excited about?
Honestly, the mentorship program that I'm in, it's helping me to understand connections more. Even though I've got to jump on it, it's kind of tying it in and breaking it down a lot more. So it's been really helpful in actually trying to make a plan to build the program the way it needs to be built from the foundation up, because I still have some time before I get the position implemented fully to build the plan for whoever comes in to assist me and get it right the way it should be, the way the athletes should be training, the way we progress, the way we regress, and the way we care about the students that we have in our presence. So I'm really excited about that. That's been something, like I said, it started in 2017 when I went to that Vertimax training, and I saw Micah. I didn't know who Micah was, but I knew that that's something that I wanted to do, and I didn't even know how I was going to do it. I had the slightest clue on how I was going to make it happen. But here I am today, 2021, and I'm still fired up about being a part of the organization, the family. So
I've heard great things about the mentorship. I wasn't able to do it, but the ones who have been in it have just been fired up. And I also on Play Academy, they have the what do they call them? Learning modules.
Yes, ma'am.
On there, and I've gotten to see those. And in talking with Gary, it's just amazing. This is one of the only things I've ever seen as a coach, anyways, where we focus on connecting and being a great leader first, and then we worry about the training part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our training is always going to differ. We're always going to mold it to what works with us. But learning about that connection piece first, I think will save a lot of future coaches' mistakes for a lot of years, probably.
And I think as coaches, we have to understand perspective and view, because I talked about with my kids, but sometimes, like in one of the modules, Gary says hot first and then go cold when you're doing the hydrotherapy, and then Tobias came back and said do cold first. So, but that's different views from what they've experienced. Who's to say one's right and who's to say one's wrong? You have to for yourself and see what works with your group of students and athletes. So I like the fact that they were able to actually sit down and talk about, you know, their different perspectives. I mean, I honestly like that. You don't see that a lot. So
wonderful.
I like that.
Yeah, and with that part, who, you know, you said a few of the names. Who have been your big influencers that have just helped you over the years? You know, you had mentioned Micah Kurtz is one. You saw him at the Vertimax. And
yes, ma'am. Man, it was me a couple. Funny how like you somebody say something and then you kind of flash back like, oh, okay. But Gary Schofield said something, I think this was on Thursday in our mentorship group, or Friday, I can't remember the date, but he said how his mentors change. And honestly, that's how it has changed for me, because I'm learning from each one of them. Mm-hmm. And it's shaping and molding those core values that I have and that I want to instill in my kids. So Gary, Garrett Keith, Tobias. I even had for a moment in time JT Thomas.
Yes.
He's no longer in the game, but he's been a very big help when he was there for me. Michael Kurtz, obviously, and then you have oh Lord, it's a guy named Robert Wilkinson. I'm not sure if he's in the organization, but he's been a very big help for me with understanding how to train the football athlete. So that's been very helpful. And I even had mentors outside of the strength and conditioning that has been helpful, such as athletic directors. Harold Hilliard, he's a CSCS guy. Corliss Fingers, like these people have, even my favorite one, the legend, I call him old guy. But I don't know why I call him that, but I do. Johnny Parker, Rich Lansky, like these guys have poured their time and energy into me. So those are just some of them, but I know over time it may change, but I hope we're able to build connections and relationships that stick long after that, because I know, it's new still for me, but I'm enjoying the ride. I really am.
I love it. And yeah, I like that you say that about, other coaches, just learning from them and them championing for you. I know I want to kind of transition onto as far as like a female in the industry. I know that it has taken, coaches like Coach RJ, Ryan Johnson from Wayzata, and Coach Gary Schofield to say, hey, this is a great coach. You should meet this coach. And I, over and over, I just see so many female coaches that we see them and then we don't get to see them anymore. Yeah. And what do you think it's going to take to get it so this is the norm? You and me talking to each other and female coaches in the industry is the norm. We're not the 5%.
To be honest with you, I think it's going to take the guys that are currently in it. They're the ones that have been in it. They know it. They know the struggle for themselves, even though it's their struggle. But it's always like when you see the NFL, when you watch the Super Bowl, you see the first woman. It's why are we still having first in 2021? But that's just reality. So it has to be someone who says, I'm willing to go first and willing to take whatever comes back at them, in spite of the outcome that it may change the whole entire organization or the profession at a whole. It's someone saying, I'll go first. I'll be the one, the sacrificial lamb, I want to call it. But and that's kind of how it is. That's how history is made, when someone's willing to go first in spite of the opposition. The guys that are already, that are already in the profession, they have to champion for the females and they have to pour into them, because you get me who's fired up and who see the need for it, but I still need to be trained. I need a mentor. I need someone to say, hey, no, don't do that, but try this instead. So you need someone to kind of hold your hand just a little bit until you're, okay, I think you got it now. That's kind of how we as parents, how you do your kids when they fall and you want them to get up. You hold their hand and do it this way, or potty train them. You have to hold their hand a little bit and then let them go and try it on their own. But you have to make sure it's about timing too. So I think the guys that are already in the profession, they have to be the ones to champion and endorse us as coaches, female coaches, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we're on the same boat. We're just going and we're headed to the same place, but one might be farther ahead than the other one. So we just have to be willing to do that, or they have to be willing to do that. And the females have to be willing to take what comes with it, because it's not easy.
I love that. I think I always knew that, but I think I was afraid to say it. I love that. I love that you're saying it. I think I not necessarily made the mistake, but tried so hard for a while to just try and band like the females together. Like, let's support each other. Let's support each other. Well, there's so many other stressors, that that happen, that where we end up, some leave the industry. And, I'm just thinking like, maybe staying home with your kids or something around that realm. And it just didn't work. But if we have, the coaches that are doing the hiring and who are making an impact already, like you said, championing for us, I think it's going to make things move faster.
Because I was willing, yeah, you are right. Because I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of time with my husband and my sons, because I saw a need, and I know it was going to take away, but was I willing to make that sacrifice? And honestly, I was, because I sacrificed now for what I wanted later, because later I wouldn't have to worry about it if it's already up and running in a community that doesn't have it. And that's the whole, we wanted to, empower people in the organization, enlist them and equip them. But every school doesn't have a strength and conditioning coach. They have a coach.
Yes.
So.
Wow. Well, our big question here, and I think you've already talked about so many of them, and I can see it, just your passion and the school district that you're in, the uniqueness of it. How are you making it big time for Jefferson County?
By being consistent. I think that's, for me, big time, because the kids don't see a lot of consistent adults who don't want anything from them, just for them to be great. Because it goes back to the community dynamics of coaches who have came there and left. I just want you to be great. That's what I want to leave. I want them to be great. I want them to go out into the world and be something successful and come back and pour into their own communities. And that's something that I want them to see. So that's my big time. Being consistent with the kids, being transparent, and staying level-headed, and putting God first in all that I do. I think that is important, and allowing him to be in charge of to be involved in my plans that I have, to make sure I give those kids the best possible version of myself. So when they leave the school, they'll thank themselves for putting in the time and being consistent with whatever they had to do. I know Gary Schofield don't like the word, but the grind. But that's, sometimes we need that grind, that hardness, that I have to go through it, the failure to get to success. And that's kind of how I look at the grind, the failure in order to get to the successful part. So
I love it. Yes. And I don't think you're going to meet too many coaches who have not had to go through the grind to learn maybe what they don't need to be doing, but it takes learning it. So I appreciate what your students are. They're going to have a story like their whole life from knowing Coach Dunlap. And that's amazing. Amazing. Yes. I want to keep talking. I suppose our listeners.
Hey, we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. Well, you ready for a few Fast Five?
Yes, ma'am. Let's
go.
Let's
get to know you a little bit here. Okay, let's see. Your training, right? Your training, 15 minutes. What does it look like? That's it. You got 15
literally
minutes.
the movement skills. I squat, I'll hinge, I'll push, I'll pull, I'll carry, and then I'll throw in some core if I have time. If I have 15 minutes, that's literally what I'll do.
Okay. Circuit style or?
Probably a little bit of both. Circuit, depending on what I'm doing. Probably some circuit, and probably maybe I'll throw in maybe some sets or something like that. I actually do the 1x20 a lot. I like the 1x20.
Okay, yep.
I do it on myself. I try to do it on myself.
And what's the music in the background?
Honestly, I'm always listening to, it varies because it's on a playlist. It's either Lecrae, some gospel music, some Tupac, some country music sometimes, and some E.T., Eric Thomas, and Inky Johnson stuff.
Okay. Icky Johnson? I haven't heard that.
Inky, he played football at Tennessee before he got paralyzed from
Okay.
his neck, I think, down to his, I know his arm, but he can't use his, what is that, right arm, left arm? So, Inky
Okay.
Johnson.
Oh yeah, Inky Johnson. Yes,
Inky,
I've seen
yeah.
some motivational speeches
Yes, ma'am.
from him. Yes. All right. We talked about influencers, but how about hobbies outside of strength and conditioning?
I read a lot. I watch Netflix when I can. It's very rare. I write poetry
Okay.
when I have time. Um, I have a couple businesses that I kind of dabble in. And it just depends, and rest, because it really just depends on time throughout the week and what I'm doing. So those are kind of where I'm at right now. So reading is probably on my list, and writing.
Yeah. It's amazing when you're in so many different, you're in the mentorship program. I can imagine you have to fight to read. You
Yeah, I
schedule
do.
it.
Yeah, I do.
Have to schedule it. Uh, let's see. How about favorite snack?
Oh, Oreos. I love Oreo
Oh, that's right. I
cookies,
remember you saying that.
chocolate,
You have a bag
maybe some
next to
ice
you?
cream. Yes, I actually do. They're literally,
Last time we did this as well, you had your Oreos right next to
I
you.
think that was about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Oreos are my friend.
I love Oreos. I'm with you there. And then I wanted to ask you, I've seen some great posts, and we're rolling towards the end of Black History Month. I want you to, for Fast Five, talk about how you're celebrating Black History Month.
My focus has been celebrating Black billionaires and millionaires. And the reason why I'm doing that is because there's not that many, just hands down. It's not.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of stay in that realm because it ties into what I do in my financial service business, where we create entrepreneurs to go out and, we want them to eventually become successful, helping families. So I wanted to focus this Black History Month, or this year, on Black billionaires and millionaires, and kind of let people know that there are some out there.
Yes.
So, and one day that's actually one of my goals. So,
I love it.
so I know it's out there, far fetched, and I'm gonna get some heat, but hey,
Yeah.
that's my dream. Like, and I think many times we limit kids in their dreams, but we tell them that they can't do it. And I think when you tell them you can't do it, that's when you begin to see them try to prove you wrong. And that's how you know it's a good dream, because someone told you can't do it. So why not?
I love it. I want you to take that opportunity. This is a Fast Five. This is just a side note. I want you to take that opportunity to talk a little bit about the financial services side you do, and you have your own side business.
Yes. So
you're on your way.
I've been doing Airbnb for the past 5 years. Very good additional source of income. But when the pandemic hit, it kind of fell. But it's back up. It's very, very good. You know how people say side hustle, but I don't call it my side hustle. But it's very good income for me to save. And then I have my financial services, which I help families. We help families with their finances by showing them a way to build wealth through insurance, which many people don't know they can, or because many people think it's just to bury you, but no, it's more than that. You can use it as a tool to build wealth and leave for your family, and you can also benefit if something happens to you in the present time. So it's more than just burying you and leaving it to your kids. It's kind of we teach people how to use it now, if that makes sense, to use the money now instead of waiting until I die. So that's one of and then we have annuities, and then we have, so we work with teachers in different school systems and stuff like that. And then we have solutions for debt. If people have credit card or credit card debt and student loan debt, we have something there. And if they need legal services, we help them there. So I love it. I do. Like, even though I'm in the midst of all this other stuff, I really love sitting down on Zoom, talking to people about how to create wealth and how to build it for their families and leave more than just, a little nest egg, but a big nest egg for the family. Generational wealth is kind of what we're trying to help people build. And it's so much fun getting to talk to people. So
And
I love
so
that.
different than strength and conditioning.
And see, that's why I love it, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's kind of out of my element, but I'm loving it and I'm learning it a lot about it. And it's not, I'm licensed to do it. So it's kind of cool. It's like, and I'm learning. I have a mentor. So it's not like I'm in it by myself. And that's why I love, you have to have mentors. You have to have people in your corner that's going to help you and teach you as you continue to learn and grow. So I love it. I do.
Wow. Amazing. Yes. And well, when we do our reach out for you, you're going to have people reaching out for strength and conditioning. And Coach Dunlap, I got a little.
Hey, come my way. We're helping families, man, of diverse backgrounds in different states. So I stretch all the way to Illinois. I stretch all the way to Vegas. So we're helping families across the states.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, how about a small school, high school, or small college coach just killing it where they're at?
I want to say Robert Wilkinson. I don't even know if he's in the family, but he's been a big help for me. A lot. I still talk to him off and on. He's comical, and I love that about him because he's comical. I would say him.
Okay.
I think he's in the high school round.
High school?
Yes,
high
ma'am.
School, do you know what school at all, or we'll look him up too? We'll put him in the show.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. And you said he's into football, right? Like the football
Yes,
strength
ma'am.
and conditioning side. But yep, got it. All right. Well, how can we reach out to you? How can we find you? Where are you at?
You can find me on IG at Coach A Dunlap. You can find me on Twitter, Coach A Dunlap. You can find me on Facebook, Coach Dunlap. I have my business pages up there if you want to reach out. If you want, I hope you reach out. And I'm on TikTok. I make funny videos with my cat.
Oh, we didn't even talk about TikTok. Last time we had a great long conversation about TikTok. And
So
yes, follow her on, or do you follow on TikTok? I'm so bad about it. Like, check her out on TikTok because great stuff.
Yeah, I missed the post Tuesday, but I haven't posted. It's just my cat being like, I don't know. My mom left, so I couldn't do the videos with her. So I had to find something that I can make funny, and my cat was it. So there you have it.
Oh, just great stuff. Like, I learned about TikTok through you. Like, I've always just been kind of pushing it aside for a while. Like, okay, this is going to go away. This is going to go away. Don't get into it too much. Then saw your videos. I'm like, oh, I got to start looking at
JT
TikTok.
actually got me into TikTok. And then I actually have a Snapchat too. I don't use it much, but I do have it.
Okay.
So,
wow.
but you can pretty much find me on any social media outlet, just about. I'm on YouTube, but I wouldn't buck on YouTube. I just use YouTube to research and stuff like that, but I do have a YouTube.
Okay. Well, yes, reach out. This has been a great conversation. I'm almost a little bit happy that we had to do it again because it really has been entirely different almost than the first time, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to just getting to know you even more and getting to actually see you at some conferences, and it'll be great things. So
yes, ma'am.
Coach Dunlap, thank you for this. And listeners, this has been another episode of the Big Time Strength Podcast. I'm going to reach out to you again as far as leave some comments, leave some shares, leave some stars. Gage called you out in our crew chat. It was kind of fun to see that. But we want your feedback and want to hear what you want to hear from our coaches. So have a great week and enjoy your time in and out of the weight room.